This is Neil Schneider for MTBS-TV at GDC 2014. To my immediate left is Denny Unger, CEO of Cloudhead Games, makers of the gallery, The Six Elements, yes? And we're very excited about this because literally it was an idea born from the MTBS forums, yes?
Totally, yeah. I mean, it was such a really amazing, interesting time when all of that stuff, all those people were coming together talking about, I mean, everybody had seen all these other designs, right? Everybody had been bashing pieces of hardware together to try to make something work, and everybody was so collaborative and helpful there, you know? And then just this period of magic happened, and it was like this storm, this brewing storm of awesome VR stuff happening. Yeah.
Well, I'm really looking forward to giving this a go. We're just going to take a minute to get all the equipment working, and we'll be back in just a second.
So stretch your arms out in front of you and see how that feels, because I don't know how the calibration went. It's okay. So look down at your body, get acclimated.
I don't have a body.
If you walk forward, you'll see you're kind of in the shadows right now.
Okay.
So what we're doing in this demo is we're showing something called VR Comfort Mode. And the idea is that we have on the right stick, we're doing sort of snap turn, pie turn rotations that are predictable. Because one of the big things people come away with from a lot of VR experiences is a sense of nausea from rotation and acceleration on analog sticks. So by making it sort of a predictable slice that you rotate, it kind of takes away that sense of nausea.
Can you elaborate a little bit more how it works? I'm not sure I understand.
So if you use your right stick right now and turn your body to the right with your right stick, use your right thumb, this one, yeah, and then turn it to the right, you'll get these little pie slice stepping rotations.
Right.
Yeah. So
instead of being like a consistent move,
yes,
it's like little snaps,
yeah,
that are easier to digest, I guess, visually digest. Yeah. Is that right?
So I mean, on one level, it kind of takes you out of the experience, but on another, it's a predictable segment of rotation. And your brain has an easier time to accepting that rotation than a sort of artificially smoothed out linear rotation and acceleration. So
what game engine are you using to put this together?
So the game is built in Unity right now, and Unity is really great as sort of an opening platform for VR because I mean it's a very approachable engine. Obviously, it takes a bit more work to make it look better.
Now, so what's the purpose of the game? I mean, it has a, and I hope you take this as a compliment, but it has a very Dear Esther feel to it.
Yeah, no, for sure. That game's amazing. So it's kind of like a cross between Myst and Indiana Jones. So it's an exploration and puzzle solving game. It's a slow-paced exploration game. I mean, VR is really the ideal medium for these types of experiences. They're slow-paced. They give you time to sort of take in the environment, the atmosphere, and with light puzzle solving. And I don't know.
So what was the inspiration of this game? What made you say, I got to make this game?
That's a long story. I'll try to make it short. But basically, so I knew Palmer from the MTBS forums before everything kind of took off. And I had always been interested in moving into video games. I had started at a small studio doing advergaming. But as soon as I saw that Carmack was getting involved and they got their sort of serious first burst of money, I knew that was sort of the right time to get involved in doing a VR game because I was a VR enthusiast for a long time. And I just sort of took my biggest impressions of games that I really love, like Myst, and just sort of went for it. Formed a small studio, and it's sort of grown to 6 people. And a year later, we're making a full game for VR.
Now, the assets I'm seeing here, is this all stuff you created, your company created, or did you resource it from other places?
Yeah, so these are all assets that we've created. Yeah, so we've got 2 3D artists and. Everything's done from the ground up. All the sounds are our own sounds. We have a really good sound designer. He moved from BioWare to work with us, which is kind of a big honor. And he's excited about the format because of what it presents for opportunities with audio as well in VR.
Well, let's talk about audio. What type of work did you have to put into the audio to make it effective for VR?
Well, we tried using Unity's stock and standard system, but decided it was a bit too limited for what we had to do. We ended up moving to WWise, which is a professional-grade audio backbone for Unity and for bigger platforms. And right now we're just starting to experiment with positional audio, binaural audio. I mean, you can't really hear it, you don't have headphones on right now, but it's a really important component to VR, right? Having a spatial understanding of where things are with audio.
Now, like when you started off on MTBS, of course you were 100% focused on Oculus. I mean, it was what was available at the time. Yeah. Are you looking at other options too? Do you see this as supporting multiple VR solutions in the market?
Yeah, so I'm actually really interested about what Sony is doing right now. I'm more interested because what they were saying is that they'll be supporting Unity as a platform as well, which makes transporting our game from Unity to that system a lot more appealing, right? So I think there's some good opportunities in the platform market if Sony is going to really, gravitate towards that and take it seriously. I think everything else is a bit too early. There's other companies coming online, and I'm sure it will be like a really full, crazy market in about 5 years. But for now, our main focus is on Oculus, unless something better comes along.
Well, let me rephrase the question. I mean, you're obviously you're working with Sixth Sense. You have, console, of course, Sony's working on something for console, so I take it if you have a Unity link to get into console, that's great. Is there anything preventing you from supporting additional formats? I mean, the Oculus format is relatively simple. Like, for example, there's Technical Illusions, there's Virelia, I wouldn't call Avigant VR per se, but there's all kinds of stuff that this would be directly applicable to. Are there any barriers of entry? Is there anything preventing you from supporting those solutions?
I guess not technically. I think the biggest barrier to entry would just be depending on their system and how you have to implement, how long it would take us in terms of production time to port over, right? I mean, we have a year of funding to finish our game. We have to launch in December. So if we can keep that ball rolling, if we have enough time to do ports, if we have enough time to invest the time into figuring out how to do a successful port to those other systems, then we absolutely would. We'd be silly not to.
So you do want to see it supported on multiple solutions, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Because, really cool stuff. Now, tell us a little bit about the Sixth Sense application. I mean, obviously they were one of your earliest partners to make this work. Earlier in the game, I picked up this letter. By the way, how do I drop the letter?
The bumper, right above the trigger.
Right above. Oh, here we go. Yeah. So, what type of gesture control have you implemented in the game? Why is Sixth Sense so important to the gallery of 6 elements?
Well, as of right now, there's no real viable PC-based. Well, I mean, I shouldn't say that. There are others that are coming online, but Sixth Sense has had this sort of history there, working with motion control. It was the most stable platform to develop on early on with Unity, and it just presents all kinds of interesting opportunities for doing one-to-one motion control. That's one thing that Sixth Sense is really great about. I mean, it's very close to one-to-one. So. I mean, it opens the door to all kinds of interesting modes of interacting with your game that you really didn't have the opportunity to do previously, right? And in VR, I mean, motion control is just kind of a natural extension. It makes the most sense. I mean, we're going to be supporting gamepad and Steam controller and all that stuff, but really the pedigree, the great experience is going to come from motion control on some level.
So, you're an independent game developer. Remind me, how big's your team? 6 people?
Yeah.
Okay, so what would you say has been the biggest challenge in putting out a game that was customized for VR? Like, did you discover things that you didn't anticipate facing when putting this game together?
Yes. A lot of things. I don't really know how to distill this. I mean, for the last year, we've been trying to come up with a really comfortable locomotive system. How you move around in VR, how you interact with objects in VR, it's such a subtle and unmapped territory. There's no help guides, there's no Google searching that's gonna help you out of it. So
let me rephrase the question. Would you say that there's still a lot to learn about VR, or do you think all the important stuff has been discovered already?
Oh, there's an immense amount still yet to be learned, for sure. And I think most of that's going to sort of harmonize after a year or two of all these new technologies coming out and starting to coalesce. Motion control is still sort of in its birthing period, really. I mean, so is VR in general. It's sort of the new... It's a new period of it coming together, and I think over the next few years we're going to figure out what all the questions are, all the important questions are. And while we've solved a lot of problems in the last year, I mean, we're going to need another 5, really, to get everything down, I think.
Now, here's a question. This is, I work for a university. The question I have is, you're an independent game developer. You're obviously, very excited about VR. Do you think that VR games are going to be, maybe goldmine is a strong word, but an opportunity for game developers to get into the market, maybe an easier path than it would be through traditional gaming?
Yeah, so especially as an indie studio, VR represents a huge opportunity to showcase your work in a completely new format, a new visual medium, and you can suddenly rise above a very oversaturated gaming market in general by getting into VR development. So yes.
So and the reason I ask that is because we, at the university we have, of course, a game development program. But do you think, if you're a student and you're in school and you had to pick a skill to learn that is most likely going to lead to some kind of employment or maybe an entrepreneurial business, how high would you rank VR on the list?
Well, I mean, a lot of people who've been following it or who are passionate about it, I tend to think that VR in a very short period, because of the things that have happened in the last 2 years, maybe in 5 years, it's going to affect every aspect of entertainment and education and training. So any way that you can get into VR right now, I mean, there's so many applicable talents and skills that could be used and sort of refocused towards VR, because it's really going to have that kind of broad global impact.
Okay, well, I'm going to take the mask off now. Whoa, good stuff.
Yeah, thanks.
I mean, I remember when this was just an idea, and you were running a trailer on MTBS, and obviously you've really gone very far with this. So congratulations. When can we expect the game to be released?
So we're aiming for December, but we also are gauging that based on what Oculus is doing. Obviously, we'll try to release early if we can, but depending on what their ultimate release schedule is, we might have to push it out further. And I think it's a bit foggy right now.
Are you planning on having, I think you have had some demos of the gallery. Are you planning to have longer play demos available for fellow VR gamers?
So we had the Exploration School, which released in December, which was about 45 minutes of gameplay. And then we did this GDC demo. It's actually sort of the opening act of our game. So we may release this publicly as well. Once we polish it off, we have some interface stuff to do still. And we have a backer beta coming near the end of the year. Yeah. So our release plan is to shoot for December, but we might have to extend that further. But there will be a beta that's available before that. Yeah.
Excellent. And do you see this as a series of games, or do you think it's going to have a firm beginning, middle, and an end?
Well, right now it's buttoned up through so we had our year laid out in front of us, and we've buttoned up the full experience to end in December. The game has a beginning, end, and middle, and not in that order. So if it's really successful, of course we would do a sequel. We've left it open-ended.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for joining us. It's always a pleasure. Denny Unger, CEO, Cloudhead Games. Thanks again. We'll be back with more from GDC 2014. Thank you for watching.